Struggling dad, 5-year-old son, reveal incredible truth, mommy, the CEO, is their hidden hero. Jack sat on the edge of the couch, watching Timmy build yet another colorful Lego tower. The small room buzzed with the sound of plastic bricks clicking together, a soundtrack to the otherwise heavy silence that weighed on Jack's heart. Unemployed for 6 months, every smile Timmy flashed felt like a spotlight on his failings as a provider. "Look, Daddy!" Timmy shouted, his blue eyes sparkling with joy. "It's a castle." Jack grinned, a mask for the anxiety that churned in his stomach, the financial strain, the shame, the fear of not being enough. Jack had once been a proud factory worker, praised by neighbors and friends in their tight-knit community just outside of Chicago. But that world crumbled like one of Timmy's Lego walls when the factory closed. The community had shifted, whispers followed him like shadows. Jack felt their judgment at grocery stores and playgrounds, he could almost hear their thoughts: pathetic, lost, weak. Each subtle nod from other parents during kindergarten meetings pierced deeper than any unkind word. What could he say in those moments of pretense? That odd jobs couldn't seem to fill the void left by a paycheck. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That evening, a community fundraising event loomed large. Jack resolved to make a statement, a showing of resilience, integrity, and the values he wanted Timmy to learn. But when the event flopped, a crushing wave of disappointment engulfed him. As he sat in the dim light of their living room, Timmy appeared, oblivious to everything but his own innocent excitement. "Daddy, did you know Mommy does super important things at the big company?" Jack's heart raced, caught between confusion and pride. Chloe had always been the quiet backbone of their family. The idea hit him simultaneously like a buoy and a weight. She was the hidden hero, a CEO, while he grappled with his role. Was it possible that success didn't look the way he'd always thought? At a school event celebrating professions, Jack felt the tension of expectations pulse through the gym. The proud words from other parents hung in the air like heavy cobwebs. But this time, he stood beside Timmy with renewed determination. As he listened to parents talk about their high-powered jobs, he began to understand that the sacrifices of stay-at-home parents like Chloe were equally important. As he framed their journey, he felt a flicker of hope blossoming inside him. Would he have the courage to confront the unspoken judgments of their community? To embrace what it meant to be a successful dad? Could he finally recognize their intertwined destinies and what truly mattered? Handling doubt head-on meant unveiling a deeper truth, one where he and Timmy could stand tall, united, and proud of their family. The night ended, but a question loomed just beyond the horizon of their lives: what would he do next? Jack woke the next morning to the soft light streaming through the curtains, illuminating Timmy, who was still asleep, curled up with his favorite blanket. A gentle smile crossed his face as he thought about Timmy's innocent excitement over Chloe's job. It struck a chord with him, reminding Jack that success could take many forms. He had to let go of the conventional measures he had been holding on to. After breakfast, he watched Timmy run around the living room, a whirlwind of energy. Perhaps today was the day to change things. With a determined nod, Jack grabbed his worn notebook filled with ideas he had put aside during darker days. He flipped it open, heart pounding, and began to scribble. The words flowed like a river: ideas for a community class on basic home repairs, DIY projects, skills he had picked up over the years. He envisioned teaching local kids invaluable skills while creating a safe space for parents to connect and build friendships. It would be something positive emerging from the darkness. "Daddy! Can we build something together?" Timmy shouted, his face lighting up with childlike enthusiasm. At that moment, Jack realized he had the perfect opportunity to involve Timmy in his new venture. "Absolutely," he said, smiling. Let us create a project to do at the community center. Together, they gathered supplies, cardboard, markers, scissors, everything a 5-year-old needed to unleash his imagination. Sitting on the living room floor, Jack explained his idea about the community class, watching Timmy's eyes grow wide with excitement. We'll build birdhouses for the garden. Everyone will love it. What do you think? Yes. We can make them colorful. Timmy squealed, completely unaware of the bigger picture unfurling around them. As they crafted the birdhouses, Jack felt the burdens on his shoulders start to lift, replaced by an emerging sense of purpose. Timmy's laughter echoed through the room, transforming the space as uncertainty faded. The bond they shared felt stronger, like thick ropes woven together. Later that afternoon, Jack looked up from his sketches and noticed Timmy stumbling over his Lego tower. He watched, a pang of recognition hitting hard. The tower fell apart, scattering bricks everywhere. With a cracked voice, Timmy whispered, "Daddy, I messed it up." Jack crouched down beside him, remembering the doubts he had felt when the factory shut down. "My little builder," he said, putting an arm around Timmy. "Sometimes, we break things to make something better. You know what? We're going to build something incredible together, just like you will with that tower." Timmy nodded, no longer defeated, but inspired. Jack reached for his phone, typing a quick message to Chloe, a simple note about his idea for the community project. He couldn't wait to tell her about the class he envisioned, about the change they could create together. As the sun dipped low, casting shadows around their home, a thought dug deep in his mind. Would Chloe resonate with his ideas? Would the community embrace this new project? Just then, the doorbell rang, breaking the evening hush. Jack's heart raced. He had no idea who it could be. Would it be a neighbor to confront him about his unemployment, or perhaps someone seeking to judge their situation? With a shared glance at Timmy's curious expression, he opened the door, heart pounding. Standing there was a familiar face, someone he didn't expect. Someone who could change everything. Jack opened the door slowly, his heart thudding in his chest. The evening light cast a warm glow on the figure standing on the porch, and as he squinted, the outline shifted into a face he hadn't seen in months. It was Chloe. "Jack," she breathed, taken aback but smiling, her eyes revealing a sense of new determination. "I got your message." "Yeah, I just sent it." Jack's words came out in a rush. He stepped aside, allowing her to enter. There was an awkward shuffle as Timmy peeked from behind Jack's leg, curiosity dancing in his bright eyes. "Mommy!" Timmy exclaimed, rushing into Chloe's arms. She dropped to her knees, embracing him tightly, and for a moment, Jack felt a twinge of longing. They all used to share this kind of warmth together, a family united. Pulling away, Chloe stood up, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. "I was at the office late," she explained, "but I couldn't stop thinking about what you said." Her gaze locked on Jack's. "I want to help." The sudden swell of hope washed over him. "Help? With what?" "I think your idea about the community class is brilliant." She paused, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I want to partner together. I have connections that could bring in funds and resources. We could create something truly special." Jack struggled to find words. "You'd really do that? After everything?" "Of course. I believe in your vision. And I miss being part of what you're building here." She gestured to the living room cluttered with colorful papers, markers, and half-completed birdhouses. "This is incredible. Just look at what you've started with Timmy." Timmy interrupted, beaming up at her, "We built birdhouses. They're gonna be the best." Chloe knelt by Timmy, "That's amazing, buddy. I can't wait to see them. You know, birdhouses could be great for our community. We could have a little workshop." Jack felt like he was flying. Together, it began to sink in their separate lives were finally aligning once more. He picked up the notebook from the floor, flipping to the first few pages filled with scribbles and plans. "If you're in, I want to make this really big. A community space, workshops, classes, anything that can bring people together." Chloe smiled knowingly, her hand resting gently on his arm. "Then let us do it. I've already got some ideas." As the three of them made their way to the dining table, Jack felt a powerful bond reconnect. Laughter filled the air as they exchanged ideas, envisioning art classes, cooking sessions, resource fairs. It felt as if they were stacking infinite blocks together, reaching higher with each word spoken. But as excitement built, Jack caught a glimpse of doubt flickering in Chloe's eyes. It was a fleeting shadow, but it didn't go unnoticed. "Are you okay?" he asked cautiously. Taking a breath, Chloe looked at him with a seriousness that made Jack's heart skip a beat. "There is something you need to know, something I haven't shared yet." The weight of her words hung in the air, thickening the atmosphere around them. Jack felt the anticipation surge within him. What could it be? His heart raced as he leaned closer, wanting to catch every syllable. "Jack, suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the living room, cutting through the moment. Jack spun around, and Timmy's tiny voice cried out helplessly, "Daddy!" With both concern and adrenaline pumping through him, Jack dashed towards the noise. What was about to be revealed tickled the edges of his mind, but the urgency of the moment pulled him along. What had just happened? And what truths lay waiting in the shadows of the unexpected chaos? Jack's heart raced as he burst into the living room. The scene that unfolded made his breath hitch. A stack of colorful papers had toppled over, scattering everywhere like fallen leaves. Timmy was crouched on the floor, his little hands surrounded by the mess, wide eyes filled with confusion and a hint of fear. "What happened, buddy?" Jack said, rushing to his son's side. He knelt down, brushing a strand of hair from Timmy's forehead. "I tried to reach the markers on the shelf," Timmy mumbled, his voice trembling slightly. "I thought I could help, but I knocked everything down." Jack's heart softened. The innocent eagerness in his boy reminded him of the lessons they'd been learning together about creativity, resilience, and the joy of making mistakes. "It's okay, kiddo," he reassured him, his voice calm. "We can clean this up together." As he began gathering the scattered papers, he felt Chloe's presence behind him. The warmth from her earlier enthusiasm seemed to dim slightly. He stole a glance over his shoulder and saw her watching Timmy with an unreadable expression. She stepped forward, joining them on the floor. "Timmy, you can always ask for help, you know. It's good to try, but letting others contribute is part of teamwork." Timmy nodded slowly, still looking uncertain, and Jack felt a swell of gratitude toward Chloe for being there, for stepping back into their lives. Yet, the doubt that flickered across her face nagged at him, a whisper he couldn't ignore. What had she wanted to say before the crash? As the three of them sifted through the clutter, Jack caught Chloe's stealing glances at Timmy. There was a tenderness in her gaze, a longing that both excited and worried him. "Chloe," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. "You okay? You seemed different a moment ago." Her eyes met his, and for a single heartbeat, he felt the gravity of all they had faced settle between them. She started, then hesitated, looking momentarily lost. "I want to make sure I'm doing right by him and by us." "Us?" The word hung in the air, electrifying the space between them. Jack felt his pulse quicken. Chloe took a deep breath, her walls cracking just slightly. "I want to be involved again, Jack. I know it's a lot, but the idea of this community space, it's giving me hope. It's giving me a reason to believe in us." Jack wanted to reach for her, to pull her close, but he hesitated. "And the truth you were going to tell me? If we're going to do this together, we need to be honest." She nodded, her gaze dropping down to Timmy, who was busy reorganizing the papers they had already stacked. "Yes, but it's not easy to share. There are things I've been carrying, things I've kept from you for too long." Timmy suddenly piped up, "Mommy, are we going to make birdhouses now?" The innocence of his question broke the tension in the room and a small smile crept onto Chloe's lips. Absolutely, buddy. Just as soon as we clean up this little mess, she replied, still looking hesitant. As they worked together, Jack felt the tightness in his chest ease, but the weight of her secret lingered like a storm cloud overhead. There was an urgency in Chloe's demeanor that made him anxious for her to reveal what she was holding back. Finally, when they stood back to admire their tidy living room, he turned to her and said, "Chloe, whatever it is, we can handle it together." She took a deep breath, her eyes glistening. "Okay, I'll tell you. But first, there is something I need to show you." Jack felt a flicker of suspense as they locked eyes. "Show me what?" Chloe paused, as if weighing her words. "I'll need your help, and then maybe we can rebuild everything from the ground up." The promise in her voice sent a jolt through Jack. What was she hiding? And how would that shape the new chapter they were just beginning to write together? Chloe stood up slowly, her energy shifting from uncertainty to resolve. She motioned for Timmy to follow her into the kitchen, leaving the mess behind them for a moment. Jack, hesitating, felt a tug in his chest, anticipation mingled with dread. What was brewing beneath Chloe's calm surface? Timmy scampered after his mom, his little feet padding lightly against the hardwood floor. "Are we going to build the birdhouses now?" he asked, his eagerness apparent. "Yes, sweetie," Chloe replied, turning to grab a stack of wood from the small pile by the door. "But first, I need to show your dad something that might help us plan." Jack followed them, caught in the whirlwind of emotion. The kitchen felt bustling, the kind of place where plans were made over late-night snacks and where laughter danced through the air. Yet tonight, that laughter was muted, heavy with unspoken words. Chloe arranged the pieces of wood on the counter, her fingers brushing over them as if they were precious memories. "I found these in the garage. We can make something special," she said, her voice steady, but Jack could see the flicker of doubt in her eyes. "I thought about what you said earlier," she continued, looking straight at him. "About being honest and how it's important to rebuild. I want to show you something more about the community project." Timmy, all innocence, grabbed a small piece of wood and held it up. "What do we need this for, Mommy?" Chloe turned her gaze to him, her expression softening. "This, Timmy, is for making something beautiful. Just like our family." Jack couldn't help but feel a warmth pooling in his chest. He stepped beside Chloe, making sure to be near when she was ready to finally spill the words that had been hanging in the air. There was something profound in their connection tonight, a promise of rediscovery. "Before I show you, you need to understand something about me, about what I've been doing these past few months," she said, glancing at Timmy and then back to Jack, her breath shaky but determined. Jack nodded, encouraging her silently. "You can tell me. I've been working at the community center, not just as a volunteer, but as a coordinator," she confessed, her voice growing stronger. "I've been planning programs that can actually change lives. I knew I had to be ready for something big." Jack's brow furrowed. "But you didn't tell me. Why hide this?" "I was scared, Jack. I didn't want to get your hopes up or drag you into something that might fail. Since everything happened, it's felt so fragile. I wanted to show you what I've been too shy to admit." Timmy, confused yet intrigued, placed the wood down and looked between them. "Is this gonna help us make birdhouses?" Chloe dropped down to his level. "Yes, sweetheart. It's about building things, both the houses and our family. I believe we can be more than we were. I believe in us." Jack felt a rush of emotion. The story of the birdhouses suddenly took on a deeper meaning. They could build something tangible, something that represented not just their past, but their future. Something that stood strong against any storm. "Okay," he said, hope igniting within him. "What do we need to do?" Chloe smiled, her eyes lighting up. "We gather everything we need, and then I show you what the center looks like now. I want you to be part of it." As they prepared to dive deeper into this new adventure together, Jack caught a glimpse of the old Chloe. He had fallen in love with the one who always believed that even the smallest efforts could yield beautiful results. But then a shadow crept back into his mind. Why did she still feel the need to keep secrets? What else had she not told him? With that thought hanging heavy in the air, they stepped into the afternoon light, ready to create. But Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the real transformation was still waiting to emerge. What truths still lay buried beneath the surface of their renewed family? Jack could hardly focus on the wood as he helped Chloe retrieve supplies from around the kitchen. The air felt thick with unsaid words, but he pushed through, determined to be part of whatever it was she was building, not just the birdhouses, but the deeper bridge between them. Timmy was in his own world, stacking wood and figuring out which pieces fit together best, his little brows furrowed in serious concentration. Jack watched his son, the way his small fingers met the rough texture of the wood, and for a moment, his heart swelled with pride. Here was hope, in pure and unfiltered form. "Mommy! Look!" Timmy exclaimed as he built a lopsided structure. "It's a birdhouse." Chloe laughed softly, her smile contagious. "That's perfect, Timmy. It's a lovely start." As she knelt beside their son, Jack's heart ached with the warmth of seeing them together, a beautiful mother-son team. Yet, that comfort was eclipsed by a haunting question: what else was Chloe hiding? "Chloe," he started, the words spilling out before he could think them through. "Why didn't you tell me about the community center sooner?" She bit her lip, taking a quick glance at Timmy before locking eyes with Jack. Because I was scared of how you would react. I wasn't sure if you'd want to be involved or if it even mattered." "But it does matter," he replied, his voice catching slightly. "You matter. This matters." Chloe's gaze softened, and for a moment, Jack felt the familiar spark between them, the easy connection that sparked laughter in their early days. He moved closer, bridging the gap in a way that felt long overdue. "Let me help you," he said firmly. "We can do this together. I want to be part of what you're building at the center. I want to support you." "But what if it fails?" Chloe asked, vulnerability spilling from her words. Jack reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Then we'll learn and try again. We're a family, right? We don't give up on each other." The air around them shifted. Chloe looked deep into his eyes, searching, then nodded slowly. "You're right. We've faced so much. This can't break us." Jack smiled, feeling the pulse of possibility between them. It was scary, but exhilarating too. He knew they were standing at the edge of something grand. "Let's start with the birdhouses tonight, then. We'll make them strong. Just like our family," he suggested, lifting a piece of wood and playfully bumping it against Timmy's structure. Timmy giggled, throwing himself into the fun as they all worked side by side. Laughter melted away some of the tension, and for the first time in a long while, Jack felt a glimmer of what it meant to hope. But then, a shadow flickered across Chloe's face as she looked at Timmy, something lingering just behind her eyes. "Jack, there's something else," she began, her voice trailing off as Timmy's laughter echoed in the room. "Something else?" he asked, the weight of those words heavy and ominous. Before she could respond, the doorbell rang, slicing through the moment like a knife. "Who could that be?" Chloe murmured, a hint of apprehension in her tone. Jack swallowed hard, his heart racing with the sudden pulse of uncertainty. What was waiting on the other side of the door? Did it threaten their joy, or would it unlock even more secrets? As critical moments often do, this felt pivotal. They couldn't ignore it. With a shared glance of concern, they moved toward the door, the air thick with anticipation. Whatever lay beyond, it would change everything. Jack hesitated at the door, palms sweaty against the cool surface. He took a quick glance at Chloe, who stood a few steps behind him, her anxious breath faintly audible. Timmy, oblivious to the tension swirling around, continued to stack his blocks, the cheerful sound of wood clinking together contrasting sharply with the weight in the room. "Are you ready?" Jack whispered, though they both knew there was no turning back. Chloe nodded but didn't speak, her eyes darting between Jack and the door handle, as if contemplating the threshold they were about to cross. There was an unspoken agreement between them, a sense of solidarity that had been rekindled amidst the chaos of life. But just as easily as it had ignited, fear threatened to snuff it out. Jack took a deep breath, steeling himself, and opened the door. Standing on the porch was a tall figure, dressed in a crisp suit, holding a briefcase. Just behind them was a familiar sleek car that glinted under the fading sunlight. The stranger introduced himself as Mr. Harrington, a representative from the community center board. Jack sensed the shift in the air as Chloe's face paled, recognition flooding her features. "What can I do for you?" Jack managed, his heart thumping loudly in his chest. "We need to discuss Chloe's proposal," Mr. Harrington replied, his voice even but firm. "This is important." Chloe stepped forward, the tension in her shoulders visibly straining against the weight of what was happening. "You're here for me?" she questioned, disbelief lacing her tone. "Indeed," Mr. Harrington said, adjusting his glasses. "Your ideas for the community center are ambitious, and the board wants to move forward quickly. We believe in your vision." Jack's mind raced. The community center. Chloe's proposal. The pieces were clicking together, but his gut felt uneasy. Why hadn't Chloe shared that part of her life with him? What was she really capable of? "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, the hurt evident in his voice. Chloe looked at Jack, her eyes glistening with unvoiced emotions. It wasn't anger or fear, but something deeper, a yearning to share her ambitions, her dreams. "I thought I could handle it. I wanted to protect you from my stress. I was trying to make it easier for our family," she admitted softly. "Easier?" Jack echoed, feeling the swirl of frustration and confusion tugging at him. "But this is you. This is incredible. Can we discuss this inside?" Mr. Harrington interrupted, eyeing the lingering tension between them. Jack stepped aside, making room for the stranger, but his thoughts were racing faster than he could keep up with. Inside the house, Timmy still had no idea of the gravity unfolding around him. He was happily chattering about his latest birdhouse creation, cutting through the weighty silence like a bright beam of sunlight. Once everyone was seated, Mr. Harrington unfolded a series of documents neatly stacked in his briefcase. "Your proposal for the center is unlike anything we've seen. The board believes you have the potential to lead it into a new direction, Chloe." Chloe's eyes widened, the gravity of the situation pressing down on her. Jack's heart surged with pride for her, yet a nagging concern intertwined with his pride. What did this mean for their lives, for their family? "Is this what you want?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, but packed with raw emotion. Chloe stared at him, uncertainty flickering across her face. "I don't know. It could mean more hours away. It could be everything I've dreamed of, but still, what does that mean for us?" As the question hung in the air, Jack recognized the depth of their challenge. This was a crossroads. Would they finally lay bare their hopes and fears? But before Chloe could respond, the door swung open once more, and the world outside came rushing in, carrying with it unexpected news. "We've got a problem," someone shouted, and Jack's heart sank as he turned to face whatever storm was brewing beyond the threshold. How would they navigate this, together? Would their new path lead to broken dreams or something beautiful? The answer loomed just out of reach. The sudden shout jarred Jack from his swirling thoughts. He turned to face the intruder, a flustered neighbor named Carla, her normally composed demeanor replaced by desperation. "What is it, Carla? What's wrong?" Jack asked, his instincts kicking in. He sensed an urgency that seemed to ripple through the air, drawing Chloe along with him into the present crisis. "It's the community center," she gasped, her eyes wide with fear. "There was a fire. It's bad. The whole place could be in ruins." Chloe's breath hitched in her throat. The weight of her proposal, her dreams, and the potential future she envisioned for the center threatened to tumble down like a house of cards. Jack glanced at her, searching for a flicker of hope in her eyes, but all he found was dread. "Timmy, honey," Chloe called softly, forcing a smile for their son, who was still crouched on the carpet, oblivious to the chaos. "Come here, sweetie. We need to talk." Timmy looked up, confused, and hopped over with his little birdhouse clutched tightly in his hands. "Is there a fire in my birdhouse?" he asked innocently, and Jack felt a sharp pang in his heart. "No, buddy," Jack replied, kneeling beside him. "There's a fire at the community center. We need to help." He exchanged a worried glance with Chloe. Their family was intertwined with the very heart of that community space, the place they frequented for events, gatherings, and classes. What would happen if it was gone? "Mr. Harrington." Jack turned back to the representative, whose expression had shifted from professional to one of concern. "What should we do?" Mr. Harrington let out a deep breath, running a hand through his hair. "We need to get everyone organized. The community needs a leader now more than ever. Chloe, your proposal could help revitalize the center after it's rebuilt." Chloe's eyes widened. "But I'm not prepared for this." You don't have to do it alone," Jack interjected, placing his hand on hers. "We'll figure it out, together." "Right," Mr. Harrington added, his tone steadying. "We will need volunteers, ideas on how to raise fund support. This is your chance, Chloe. The community will rally around you." As she absorbed his words, Chloe's expression shifted. The initial panic began to refocus into determination. Her fingertips brushed against Jack's, sparking a sense of shared resolve between them. "I've been so worried about the future, about what it would mean for us," she breathed. "But maybe this is exactly what we need to come together, not just as a family, but as a community." "Mommy's going to help the community," Timmy chirped, grinning as if his innocent excitement ignited a flame within the adults. Jack felt the warmth of pride swell inside him. This was the Chloe he knew, the one who would fight for what was right, and draw the strength from her family. Maybe this crisis could be a conduit for transformation, gently guiding them toward a new chapter, hand in hand. Just as they stood on the edge of newfound hope, another knock echoed through the house. Jack's stomach dropped. What else could the universe throw at them? "Well," Mr. Harrington said, glancing toward the door, "it looks like the plot thickens. Who could it be now?" Jack steeled himself, a mix of anxiety and anticipation racing his heart as he turned once more toward the threshold. Jack opened the door, ready for whatever news awaited him. His heartbeat echoed in his ears, a frantic drumroll. As the door creaked open, his eyes widened at the sight before him. Standing there was the town's mayor, a tall figure with stern features that softened upon seeing Jack. "Jack, I heard about the fire. We need your help. Everyone's needed at the community center. We can't let despair take over." Jack took a step back, swallowing hard. "The fire? What's the situation? Is everyone okay?" The mayor shook his head, his expression grave. "It's spreading fast, and it's affecting the nearby residences. We need volunteers to help clear the area and make sure everyone is safe." Chloe stepped forward, her determination shining brighter than Jack had ever seen. "We'll help," she declared, glancing at Timmy, who was still clutching his birdhouse, unaware of the stakes involved. "Whatever it takes." Jack felt a spark of admiration for Chloe. This was the woman who transformed worry into action. "All right, what do we need to do?" he asked, stepping alongside her. "Gather supplies," the mayor instructed. "We need fire extinguishers, shovels, buckets, anything that can help. We'll set up a perimeter and start the cleanup as soon as we can." With renewed purpose, the three of them sprang into action. Chloe moved quickly to assemble a list while Jack hurried to the garage, gathering any tools he could find. Timmy, still blissfully innocent, followed his dad, curious about the sudden urgency. "Can I help?" Timmy asked, looking up with big eyes as Jack handed him a small shovel. Of course, buddy. Jack said, ruffling his hair. You can help clear any small branches when we get there. But as the family busied themselves, Jack felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. What if they couldn't save the center? What if the community lost more than a building? Arriving at the center, flames licked at the edges of the structure. The sound of crackling would fill the air, blending with the murmurs of worried residents. Chloe's determination faltered momentarily as they surveyed the scene. Hey, Jack said softly, kneeling to meet Timmy's gaze. You see all these people? They're just as scared and worried. But we're all going to work together, just like Mommy said. Timmy nodded, trying to understand. Chloe took a deep breath, summoning her courage. This is our chance to show everyone that we can rebuild. That we can come back even stronger. Suddenly, the mayor called for volunteers. We need everyone to grab buckets and start passing water. Let us form a line. Jack and Chloe fell into place, their arms moving instinctively as they filled buckets, passing them down the line. Each cup of water represented hope, unity, a symbol of a community coming together in darkness. But in the midst of the chaos, a sudden scream pierced the air. Jack whipped around, his heart racing again. A bystander pointed. There were people trapped inside the building. The mayor organized a rescue team, but a heavy weight settled in Jack's chest. He glanced at Chloe, who was already stepping forward. I can go, she declared, determination etched in her features. No, Chloe. Jack's voice broke through the panic. You can't. It's too dangerous. But Chloe's eyes were set. If I don't, who will? That moment hung heavy, and Jack realized this was the truth he hadn't fully seen until now. Chloe wasn't just his partner or a community advocate. She was their hero. As she took a step toward the raging flames, Jack caught her arm. We can do this together, he breathed. They would face the fire, not just for themselves, but for Timmy, and for the community. What happened next would determine everything. Together, then, she whispered, and with resolve in their hearts, they moved toward the danger, ready to confront the flames and the uncertainty that lay ahead. But would they emerge as heroes or face heartbreak? Together, they stepped toward the growing chaos, hands clasped tight as if to bolster each other against the fiery uncertainty ahead. What had once seemed insurmountable now felt like a challenge they were eager to face together. The flames roared, almost like a living beast, crackling and snapping as smoke billowed into the night sky. The heat threatened to push them back, but Jack tightened his grip on Chloe's hand. Wait for the next safety team, he urged, his voice barely audible over the chaos. Chloe shook her head, determination shining in her eyes. We need to help now. We can't wait. Timmy, witnessing his parents enter this courageous moment, clutched his small shovel tightly. Mommy, don't be scared. He shouted, his voice ringing with pure innocence. It cut through the noise, grounding them all in that fleeting moment. Chloe flashed a radiant smile, one that spoke of unshakable love and pride for her son. I'm not scared, Timmy. We're just being brave. They ducked into the thick haze, looking for anyone who might be trapped. Jack's heart raced as they moved cautiously through the smoke, tethered together by purpose. Suddenly, a muffled cry echoed from behind a collapsing wall. Jack turned sharply, adrenaline giving birth to urgency. Chloe, over there. Without hesitation, they sprinted toward the sound, pushing through debris. A warm gust of air ignited Jack's instincts. He fought through the raging turmoil in the air, pushing aside fallen beams, while fear clawed greedily at his heart. The further they pressed, the stronger his realization became. This was more than just a community center, it was the heartbeat of their town, a home to so many, including their family's hopes. Chloe was close behind. Stay focused. There. She yelled, pointing to a space where the cries grew louder. With every ounce of strength they had, they heaved sections of the wall aside. Jack could feel sweat trickling down his brow, mixing with soot and uncertainty. Together, they peered into the gloom. A woman, clearly in distress, lay pinned beneath debris. Jack's heart sank. "I see her. We have to pull her out." The two of them scrambled closer, hearts racing with fear, determination intertwining. Jack reached for her arm. "Hold on. We're going to get you out. Chloe, can you help lift?" he shouted, as they worked to move the debris weighing her down. "On three." Chloe encouraged. 1, 2, 3. They tugged with all their might as the woman gasped and wriggled to slip free. In that surreal moment, typically defined by flickers of panic, they created a spark of hope not just for themselves but for everyone they stood beside. With a final push, she was free, collapsing into their arms. Thank you," she gasped, her eyes shining with tears of disbelief. As adrenaline surged through them, Jack and Chloe exchanged glances. Realization dawned, a shared understanding that they had done something monumental. They had confronted their fears, together. "Let us get her to safety," Jack instructed, urgency breathing life into their every movement as they guided the shaken woman toward the nearest exit. Once outside, the cool night air hit their sweat-drenched skin, wrapping them in relief but not without the weight of what they had just endured. They set her beside the medical team waiting anxiously, offering her reassurance. At that moment, nothing else mattered: failure, uncertainty, or fear. They were here, alive, and surrounded by love. "Look, Mommy!" Timmy exclaimed, tugging on Chloe's sleeve, his eyes bright with admiration. "You're a superhero. Just like in the movies." As Jack watched Chloe beam down at their son, the warmth flooded his heart. "We all are, buddy," he replied, hugging Timmy closer. Chloe knelt beside Timmy, brushing a stray hair back from his forehead. "We just did what any family would do. I'm proud of us." The fire raged behind them, but they stood united not just as parents, but as a forcing of growth and renewal, of understanding their strengths and embracing the unknown. They were resilient, courageous, and now, more than ever, they believed in their dreams of rebuilding. Hours later, after the last embers faded and the community banded together to clean up, they gathered with fellow families and neighbors who had come to help. They shared laughter and stories of courage, all bound in heart and spirit, igniting a yearning to flourish. As Timmy ran around, playing among the volunteers, Jack looked at Chloe and noticed her eyes shimmering with a determination he hadn't seen in a long time. "I know now," she whispered, her words pulling him in. "This isn't just about reviving the center, it's about us too. Coming together to reshape our lives from the foundations up." Jack smiled, a fresh wave of inspiration washing away the doubts of the past. "I want to be by your side through every step. Let us create something amazing together, not only for us but for this community." "Together," she echoed, a sincere smile gracing her lips as they walked hand in hand. No longer were they grappling with past failures. They stood side by side with their community, ready to construct the future they envisioned, a bright, beautiful place where they would build laughter, forge family, and embrace perseverance. Right then, in that moment, Jack felt a warmth spread through him, a deep sense of belonging, connection, and hope. As the stars began to twinkle above them, they realized that despite every setback and every challenge, together they could create a life that was richer, a life bursting with possibilities. And together, they would rise stronger than before. Now it's your turn to make a difference. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories and transformations. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the community. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. We want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and become part of our amazing journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.